One man, one mission, to rid the world of chronic anxiety once and for all. The anxiety guy, Dennis Simsek, shares his personal transformation from living a life filled with overwhelming worry to becoming a full-fledged positivity machine, a leading authority in generalized anxiety. Dennis gets to the truth of your mental health challenges and sets you on a path to transforming each and every area of your life. Here he is, the one and only, the anxiety guy.
Warriors, welcome to episode number 62. I'm Dennis Simsek and I will be your host today. Today we're talking about whether or not I have in fact overcame generalized anxiety and health anxiety naturally. Have I done it? I get this question so much from people on a daily basis, and the answer is always yes. Yes, I have come through. Yes, I suffered for 6 years. Yes, I moved my family over to places like Bali and Singapore thinking that a different environment would help me. And yes, I finally, once and for all, have gotten to a place of self-mastery. But it wasn't without some challenges and some struggles, and definitely lots of setbacks. So today I want to run you guys through my past, my transition towards anxiety recovery, and my present life, how I live today. So my past basically was this idea of over-worrying over everything. There was worrying internally. If a sensation happened, if a symptom popped up, I basically created the 10 times worse outcome to every sensation. And then there was problems externally. If someone said something to me, criticized me, I made it 10 times worse in my head. If there was an environment, I went to, say, a concert and something happened, I would make that concert 10 times worse in my head and therefore relive that experience over and over and over again in my head. So internally, in my past, there were lots of struggles, there was lots of anxiety, but as well, externally, there was lots of struggles and anxiety because I basically exploded, overblew everything that happened to me. Then, because I was at a level 3 psychology development, which you guys probably remember from one of the podcasts before, my main priority was social acceptance. So I was living in my late 20s, early 30s with this idea of chronic anxiety, and basically I really wanted to be socially accepted. I put myself out there. I put myself in circles. I went to some meetups. I went to social gatherings. I did what I could to be socially accepted because I was a level 3. If you guys have any more questions on that, anxietyexit.com, I will answer those questions. So people's opinions and behaviors over me was priority number 1 in that point of my life. So basically I lived dependent on what I heard from people. I lived dependent on the information I got. And basically, I felt back in the day during my past that things externally were the very things that would in fact make me happy, make me fulfilled, make me joyful, make me healthy. But little did I realize back then that change, progress, happiness, health starts with us. Starts with me, the way I perceive things, my perception over things. Nothing external should ever be the very factor that determines your happiness or your joy or your goals or your dreams in your life. Everything comes from perception. So I was very sensitive and tired due to all the fighting my thoughts all day, every day. I was fighting my thoughts. I was trying to delete some thoughts. I was trying to replace some behaviors with little luck. So it was a constant struggle that led to emotional fatigue. Tons of emotional fatigue that then led to tension. And you know what? This whole cycle could have easily been overcame if I had just become knowledgeable, if I had just started to listen in on my true voice, if I had just started to see that there were in fact success stories out there instead of hanging around the chats and the forums that were constantly dwelling, talking about their anxiety, speaking about how they were going to end their lives. And you know, I realized that some of this was a cry for attention. Let's be honest. Okay, let's be totally honest in today's podcast. There was something unconscious within me that was holding on to my anxiety. I was wearing a suit that on the outside said anxiety. I brought that suit with me all day, every day, no matter what I did. That was my identity. And in order for me to overcome that identity, I needed to replace it with a different identity. For example, back in the day, I used to be a tennis player. So I had this identity that I was a tennis professional. When I was eating, I thought about tennis. When I was talking to someone, I was speaking about tennis. It didn't matter. Everything I did revolved around the sport. Same thing with anxiety. When we feel like we're wearing this suit, when we're bringing this baggage with us, no matter where we're going, we tend to talk about it, feel it, overgeneralize it, delete information because it doesn't fit with our anxiety. We distort information because it doesn't fit with our anxiety. Everything revolves around what we think we are, and that is the truth. When we start to disidentify, change our identity from being anxiety to someone creative, who's someone that's an athlete, someone who gives back to people, someone who's a social butterfly, a new identity, we start to see ourselves differently and we start to see the world differently. So the transition from anxiety to self-mastery started with intellectual insight, realizing first that there was a different way to think about me, my challenges, and the world. So first and foremost, I had to understand that, hey, maybe there is a different way to go about life. Maybe there is a different way to think about this situation. Maybe if I just start building on the facts of the past, looking at the evidence behind, am I going to have a heart attack every single time I feel like my heart's fluttering or whatever it is, or I get a headache, is that a brain tumor? Instead of looking at things like that, instead of looking at it in that way, I said, hey, look at all the evidence that's piling up as far as my warrior side, and look at all the evidence that's piling up in my victim side. There is no evidence on my victim side and tons of evidence on my warrior side. And evidence is the very thing that starts to create intellectual insight within people. I also, during my transition, had to take a cold turkey approach to my past routines that fed anxiety. I needed to first and foremost replace those. So if it was Googling symptoms, I had to replace that with a 1-minute shower. If I truly wanted to keep talking about my anxiety with my fiance and my friends, I had to replace that and talk about my progress, talk about my breakthrough. That's why I always had something that helped me break a pattern. Anytime I felt I was heading in the direction that would fuel more anxiety, I stopped myself, I broke the pattern, and there I was talking about something else, behaving differently. This was truly important during my transition. Further knowledge was gained through other people's success stories. We have a choice. Unconsciously, in every moment of our lives, we are making choices. You are making a choice. Your choice is to live with anxiety. Whether that's conscious or whether that's unconscious, I don't know, and that's up to you to deal with and to figure out on your own. But you have a choice on what you focus on. You can focus on the pain. You can focus on the past and how great you were back in the day. You can focus on the present and how difficult your life is. Or you can focus on the present and tell yourself that you are a work in progress. You are under construction. You are constructing yourself towards self-mastery. You can focus on people's success stories, which are plenty out there. You can focus on the future and how beautiful it's going to be. You are making a choice in every moment of your life. So, decide to make better choices. Begin to ask yourself better questions, and you will find that the answers start to pop up. If you keep asking yourself questions such as, why me, God? Why? Why do I have to suffer from this? Why am I so stupid? Why am I so limited in life? Then guess what? Your mind will always go, well, because you're a moron, because you're an idiot, because you're this, because you're useless, because you're powerless. But what if we start asking different questions? What must I do starting today to start my recovery? Where are the people hanging out that in fact have overcome this struggle that I'm going through? Your mind will begin to find the answers, and you will feel it within your system. You will get hunches, you will get instincts, and that's when you start to move with those things. So in my transition, guys, with every breakthrough came further open-mindedness and behavioral flexibility. So every breakthrough started to create this snowball, this momentum for me. When I focused on my breakthroughs, I became more open-minded. Hey, maybe there is a way out of this. Hey, maybe I can allow myself to step out of my comfort zone. Hey, maybe I can rip this suit off and wear a different suit, therefore changing my identity. This was very, very important in my transition. Now today, in my present life, self-mastery, that's where I'm at, and that's where you're going. I'm bigger than any fear of challenge that occurs in my life. Any fears or challenges that occur in my life, I am bigger than that. So it's not so much that the problem is big and the problem is too big. It's about how big we are, how we adjust to those problems, how we deal with them, how we perceive them, what kind of skill sets do we have to deal with them. That's the key. There's either some knowledge that you are not aware of, or there's something conscious or unconscious that's holding you back from confronting your fears. That's the truth. That's the truth. Now, again, in my present life now, my thoughts are balanced. My emotions and behaviors are more in tune with my true warrior voice. I speak the warrior on a daily basis. My hand gestures, my tones of voices, my posture, my breathing patterns, the way I speak to people, what I look up online. I sold my TV. I said, hey, no more media, no more fear, no more subliminal messages. Enough with those things. I am too anxious. I need change to happen. So in my present life, I live the warrior on a daily basis, and that's the truth, guys. And you guys can live the warrior as well. The other thing is that little things stay as little things in my life today. If something is little, let's say I'm going about my day and I come home and something goes wrong throughout the day, or someone calls me and I get an email and someone goes, hey Dennis, I would love if you gave me a bit more support. I would say, you know what? I would answer that email. I would answer every question in a way where the customer is in fact the boss. So if somebody buys the program and needs something and is going through a situation in their lives, I will take that and I'll go, how can I help this person? Instead of getting upset, instead of going, hey, why don't they handle it themselves? I would say, you know what? Stop. Gather your thoughts. Gather this new perception. People need you. You need to react. You need to give back. So every small thing, I keep it as a small thing. I don't make it bigger than what it is. I see it as it is, not worse than it is. Okay? Now, the other thing for me in my present life is that regret fuels me to live an exciting, fulfilling life, because most of us think we have time. We don't have time. We don't have time. We're here for a short period of time. That's it. Okay? We're not going to be here forever. So if you're suffering from anxiety and you know what's keeping you stuck, or unconsciously you start to dive deep into your core beliefs and figure it all out, you start to gain the skill sets listening to the podcast, doing the program, videos. If you're complaining about a lack of resources, I have nothing to say to you guys. Honestly, I have nothing to say. All the information that you need is in front of you. Stop making so many excuses for why you can't step out of your comfort zone and how difficult your life is, okay? And it's time to start taking action. It's time to start getting knowledgeable. So regret fuels me on a daily basis. When I'm 90 and I'm in my deathbed, do I want all those faces of regret on my deathbed telling me you could have done this, you should have done this better, you could have just, if you just would have stepped out of your comfort zone, you would have lived an adventurous, fulfilling life? I don't want that. And I don't want that for you guys either. So Life has become much lighter in my life today. I don't take myself, people, or the world so seriously anymore. I'm living a life that is not so complicated. It's a very simple life, and that's the way I like it. And that's the way we are in fact meant to be living. We are not meant to be living with intrusive, challenging, automatic thoughts that are negative on a daily basis. This is our default mode. This is what I call your DMN, your default mode network, which in fact I'll make a very powerful video on YouTube for you guys very, very soon. But in order to end my DMN, I had to become conscious internally, externally. I had to really take a good look at what was fueling these things that I called anxiety. So, my past created my present. I am better today. I am much, much better today. I am a way bigger person today because of my anxiety. You can take this progress, you can take this journey, and you can say, you know what? I'm going to be a bigger person because of this. I'm going to write a book about this. I'm going to take some action and help people. So warriors, in closing, I want you to take this podcast episode and run with it. Listen to it a couple times, download it, share it with your friends, share it with your family members, share it with your acquaintances, guys. Gain the power from this podcast episode. Gain the power. Understand where you are right now and what you need to do, the steps you need to take. And if you have any questions on the End the Anxiety program, I am at anxietyexit.com and I will see you guys there. Remember, you are more than anxiety. Bye, guys.
Thanks for being an important part of the Anxiety Guy podcast community. If you enjoyed this podcast, please leave a positive rate and review. If you're searching for further support on your road to recovery from anxiety, head over to anxietyexit.com and take part in the powerful End the Anxiety program based around the CBT model. If you're searching for a more one-on-one approach, you can sign up now for personal coaching sessions with Dennis via Skype. Remember, you are more than anxiety. See you in the next episode.